Well, we are live once again. I think this is the third SmackView that I've done live, so that's kind of something. Joining me once again is the man of sound, logic, and lateral thought, the Co-92.
Hello, good people.
And we have the man that has not been seen on any of my podcasts for a while, the J Seeker. And for some reason, the J Seeker's gone quiet. Dude, you with us? Oh. This is just me and the Co-92, huh?
Something happened.
I don't know. We'll get the J Seeker back as and when we can. He might be having technical difficulties, as is often the case, especially. Oh no, we have the J Seeker back again by the looks of things.
Okay, sorry about that. For some reason, I had the YouTube page in the other tab, and it was kind of freaking me out.
Okay, right.
No problem.
Before we get to this year's Battleground and this week's SmackDown, J Seeker said this just before we went on the air. Let's address the rather valley-sized pink elephant in the room. Hulk Hogan!
Yeah, for those of you
boy.
who somehow don't know what has happened, Hulk Hogan got fired for a racial tirade.
And
Yeah.
whatever respect I had left for Hogan, gone out the door because that's one of my big red buttons. It's just like, nope, 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 no! Can't deal with that.
that kind of racist remark, I just don't accept. You know, it's funny because I actually met Hogan this past year at Con before.
The thing, if he had uttered, because to my understanding, it was referring to the Booker T promo from years ago in WCW. This is what I've been told, so if I am indeed incorrect, which wouldn't be the first time for me, do correct me. Yeah. Do correct me in the chat below. But if he had simply said, in regards to the interview, and only said the whole Hulk Hogan, we coming for you, and didn't say anything else, I would have been like, okay, that's all you need to say. You know, you didn't need to use that word.
If you quoted the whole thing verbatim, yeah, that would have been stupid, but
If all he had said was, like I say, Hulk Hogan, we coming for you, everybody knows what that is, because that spot in wrestling history is...
Hang on, my phone's ringing.
Yeah, sure, dude. That particular thing, it's infamous, because...
yeah, that's one of the most famous wrestling bloopers of all time.
I mean, you can even see it in Booker T's face after he'd done it. It's just like, ooh.
Yeah, Booker T knew he messed up the second it came out of its mouth.
And he's sort of looking to Sensational Sherry. It's like, oh, what did I do? What did I do? She's like, what do you expect me to do about it?
But Hogan had no regret when he talked about it. Didn't he?
That's the impression that I'm getting off of the rather cryptic tweet he put on his Twitter. In today's broad spectrum of things in the media, you have to be objective by all means with what you say, but you have to be so careful with what you go stay. I mean, if he had simply said something about Booker T, like, I thought he was unprofessional, I can't, I find it difficult to be objective about this particular athlete, wrestler, or even sports entertainer, then it's like, well, he's just being constructively critical and objective about Booker. But by going there, being as controversial as he did, quoting that promo again, until I'm told otherwise, that is what I've been told is the big problem that's been addressed, is the fact that he quoted that infamous promo from WCW. Then it's at that point of no return. Once you say something that's very taboo and very unacceptable, regardless of whether it's mainstream media, internet media, or just amongst people in public, it's just one of those places you don't go to. It's why they call it unacceptable, and it's just also unprofessional conduct, because you don't say something about someone or to someone that you wouldn't want said about yourself. It always goes back to treat others how you want to be treated, and in this case, Hogan treated the situation with that level of disrespect, and so in turn, the WWE are just being, I don't want to say damage control, because that would imply that they would have had to, do the damage control for Hulk Hogan to try and keep him within the company. They were just reacting as what is expected of them. An employee that acts as unprofessionally as they do, it reflects the WWE in a very poor and unprofessional manner, that they don't want to be associated with somebody that's going to give them bad press like that. And when I mean bad press, it's just the kind of mentality. It's like, well, why are they employing somebody like that? I mean, WWE are used to bad press in regards to how their pay-per-views go in the writing, which is a never-ending list of bad press, but that's through constructive responses, saying this could be better, that could be better. But in the case of Hulk Hogan, who's messed up, I've lost count of how many times he's messed up now. I think the WWE acted as appropriately and as professionally as they could, just to sever their ties with Hulk Hogan, because, again, as I just said, and welcome back, by the way, Code92.
Yeah,
I'm just
sorry,
saying,
I was on my phone.
yeah, I'm just saying with Jay Seeker, it's just WWE reacting as they're expected to, because they don't want to be associated with somebody who's going to be that controversial and bring in unwanted attention to the public, because one of the key things that WWE likes to do, not only with their staff and their performers, but to the fans, is respect all backgrounds that people come from. And if they had let Hulk Hogan off the hook for what he did, that's basically contradicting what they would have said to people originally. And whilst I've gone off on a long enough tangent about that, Co92, do you think WWE did the right thing by telling Hulk Hogan to get out the door?
I think it was kind of a good move on that, because, as we all know, they're trying to keep a public image right now, and they don't want any of that controversial stuff within their company. So, I mean, well, it's kind of funny that they're going to Chris Benoit him from the company, which is strange. From a professional standpoint, it makes sense to do that.
Yeah.
So, I do applaud them for doing that, because they really don't want more none of that stuff on their company as they speak with.
I'd say it's fair. What do you say to that, Jay Seeker?
Well, I think WWE did the only thing they could do by firing him the way they did. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
What I'm more interested in is the long-term consequences of all this. Like, I mean, we were in the middle of a tough enough season. Hulk Hogan's a part of that. Is he just going to vanish right into thin air because of it?
Well, I have been hearing from news that they are considering a replacement for Hulk Hogan on the judge's spot on Tough Enough. There's been rumors that they're going to replace him, like maybe Booker T, Lita, Chris Jericho, whatnot. But they haven't thought about their replacement yet.
Right. And another thing I want to say is, I think that eventually Hulk Hogan will be back. Well, probably won't be for a few years, but he will be back. Because we've seen this before.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan says or does something stupid. He leaves WWE for X amount of years, and he comes back with a hero's welcome. Everyone loves him again. Then it's lather, rinse, repeat.
Yeah, but then again, this is going to have a long-term damage on his career as of this moment.
Yes. Saying what he did is... It outweighs the heaviness of anything he's ever done in the locker room. Yeah. That's kind of a given.
Yeah.
But despite that, I still think he's gonna come back, and he's eventually gonna be welcomed back to the WWE in some form or another. I mean, I'm sure we all remember Jim querying doesn't make the world work heavyweight, don't we?
Vaguely.
Yeah. Because the Ultimate Warrior said some pretty out there things, and he eventually got a Hall of Fame spot.
Yeah, but what you got to remember is, Ultimate Warrior was on such a level, and just before anybody goes narking and whatnot, I'm talking about the sort of things that Warrior did back in the day. I mean, I'm just being objective about this. Some of the things he said back in the day, I don't even think he knew where he was when he went off on some of these promos or some of the things he would say behind the scenes. I mean, we don't know the full ins and outs, of what led to him leaving. And you got to admit that DVD, the ultimate destruction of the self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior, that was a little bit one-sided, don't you think?
Yeah, a lot. From what I heard.
I mean, and I think with him coming back to the Hall of Fame, the way that it happened, just before he died, which is such a shame because I think he really could have been such an ambassador and mentor.
Timing of all that was damn near tragic.
Yeah.
But no, it's not the anonymous GM. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Can I have your attention, please? No. It's me, Tony Ricardo. All I'm going to say is tragic what happened with Warrior, but at least he buried the hatchet with some of the fences that he'd broken, that him and the WWE broke before he left originally. So at least he mended the fence with people like Vince and various others in the back, along with Hogan, which I really and legitimately hope that was for real and not just for the cameras when the two of them, left their differences in the past where it should be. But that's another story.
I think this is pretty much all we can say about it right now. We don't know the long-term consequences of it. I'm sure we'll talk about those consequences as time goes on, but for right now, we just have to continue down the road.
Pretty much. And with the Pinkamania elephant 86ing out the door, we shall now look at this year's Battleground. Now, I did not have the quote, good fortune of seeing King Truth versus King Barrett. Would either of you like to give your basic opinions about what you thought about that match? Because again, I didn't watch that one.
Well, I only seen a little bit of it, but from what I got from it, it was just okay, I guess. I mean, I'm glad Bear got the win and decided to keep his crown. Although I've been hearing rumors that he might go back to Banu Bear at some point. But for what it is, it's pretty much meh.
To be honest, that match was so unconsequential and so forgettable that it barely deserves mentioning at this point. Do you agree?
So basically,
Yeah.
what you're saying is it's a throwaway match.
Pretty much.
Okay then, and we'll now move on to Randy Orton versus Sheamus. If I'm being completely honest with this match, I don't think this should have been the curtain jerker, because I think it was probably maybe one step down of being a main event match. I mean, whilst we've seen these two go at it before, those that have seen Royal Rumble 2010 and SummerSlam 2010, when the two of them were going at it for the WWE Championship, one of which when Orton was still part of Legacy, and at SummerSlam 2010, whilst we also had the main event being Team Raw versus Team Nexus, which I'm going to be honest, that could have gone a little bit better, but that's 5 years ago. We'll just move on from it. We know what we can get out of these two, and it's another similar situation whereby Sheamus is one of those guys, not the most technically sound wrestler. I mean, he's basically, just another version of Kevin Nash, where it's just kicking, punching, but pair him with the right wrestler, and you can get the absolute best out of Sheamus, and that other wrestler can make him look good. And only one of a handful of people can do this, one of which was Chris Jericho in a main event match for SmackDown just before WrestleMania 28, and Randy Orton is the other said competitor that can make Sheamus look world class. I'm going to be honest, I didn't really want this match to end, because the suspense of Sheamus got a near fall, Orton got a near fall, another RKO. I think it was only like one RKO in that entire match after all the Irish cursed backbreakers Sheamus was giving. Again, would like to have seen it gone a bit longer, but again, could have done with being nearer the main event, because this is like Jericho versus Ziggler from SummerSlam 2012. Decent match, but on first. Co92, what did you think of it?
I thought it was okay. I mean, like we said, we've seen these two go at so many times in the past, but for what they did, they did all right for the opening match. So there's not much to say about it, but who knows if they're going to continue this on or not.
JCK? Well, to be honest, I don't think it was the best match of the card. I think that both. I don't know if it was just me or not, but it seemed like a lot of them were moving pretty slow in the ring.
It's hard to say, because Sheamus is not exactly the most agile and the quickest guy there. I mean, he's quite a big guy. I mean, what is he, like 6'5", 6'6"? He's quite jacked for someone his size. I mean, this is a guy who said, quote, he, idolized Triple H from a young age. I'm like, I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not. If we're talking in terms of the build and training, fine. Personality, no comment.
And to answer your musings on why this was the first match of the card, to be honest, Randy Orton and Sheamus have done this before, and WWE knew it was a been there, done that situation. So my theory is that they got that out of the way early so that they wouldn't lose the crowd. That then if they put it after a match like say Wyatt and Reigns.
Yeah, but then again, it would have been like a cool down match, to be honest.
Maybe.
Alrighty then.
But the St. Louis crowd was hyped for Randy Orton. You have to agree on that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it makes sense since that's his hometown.
Right.
Pretty much. I thought the tag title match could have gone on way longer. I think it being under 10 minutes, while I'm not, well, everyone knows I'm not a huge fan of the New Day, full stop, as were several thousand other WWE fans in that arena. The primetime players needed much longer to be able to get a decent runtime in there. I'm never going to be Titus O'Neil's biggest fan when it comes to the way he presents his character, but as an athlete, this guy's almost the complete package. He's absolutely jacked, but his quickness and his pace is unbelievable. You wouldn't believe somebody like him could move as quickly as he could do. And as some people know, been saying this for a few years, why these guys had been denied the opportunity to be tag team champions in the last few years up until now is beyond me. But, as some would say, better late than never. Decent result for them retaining the tag titles. Hopefully they're going to get someone a little bit more credible as opponents, because they've got to get Kofi Kingston out of that stable. They are just suffocating any kind of push that this guy could be given. I mean, this is a guy, former United States champion, former Intercontinental champion, the Houdini wizard of Royal Rumble escapes in the last few years. And this guy could easily have been at least a two-time world champion by now. We know he's got the athletic capability, and when he was a face, the crowd absolutely adored him. But they won't push him. Jay Seeker.
I was most impressed by Titus O'Neil in that match. Like, I agree with everything you say. He's got an amazing build. He's got amazing agility. He has the charisma. He probably needs to work on his mic skills, and I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But I think with a little more polish, I think we could see a future WWE champion in Titus O'Neil.
I would not mind seeing that. Like you say, and you're absolutely right to point out that the guy has got tons of charisma, but it's just his mic work. It kind of goes with Lesnar, another example of guys that should either work on the mic properly or stay the heck away from it. Some like, Uncle Paul, I'm gonna get a mic. Rock. And the microphone. Yes, Uncle Paul. Now, go eat your Cheetos. Yay!
But despite that, like, did you hear like did you see the segment where Titus O'Neil was on the commentary table with Michael Cole, JBL, and the gang?
If you're talking about if this was on Raw, keep in perspective, I have not watched an episode of Raw since the fall of 2013, when the Authoritas storyline was killing any kind of enjoyment I could have for Raw. The only thing that was good about Raw at that time is the guy that's no longer there, CM Punk. Who, by the way, CM Punk, kudos for what you did to Virgil. That was the arc.
I know.
Even when he isn't a part of wrestling, he manages to prove that he is once again the best in the world.
That's because he is CM Punk and Virgil is not.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Getting back on track.
Mm-hmm.
Titus O'Neil had an amazing bit on Raw when he was on the commentary table, and he just laid the smackdown on JBL and like calling him out for shoddy commentary work, which is kind of a goes without saying if you've been following the product. But Titus O'Neil just ripped into him.
Yeah, I did remember hearing him say that. Well, I will say he's been getting better a little bit.
Yeah, I think WWE, if they're smart, I know that's asking for a lot, but if they are smart, they could see that spark of brilliance in Titus O'Neil and give him a singles push that would be amazingly well received by a vast majority of the viewers.
It helps for him, really, if he's given decent material to work with. There are some people, like The Rock, Jericho, or Punk, that can create something from nothing. I'm not saying that Titus couldn't create something from nothing, but he works better when he's given competent material to work with. And as is the case quite a lot in WWE, more often than not, they don't give their talent the right material to work with, which is why a lot of their talent suffer on the roster. Yet you see people at the Breakfast Club in Orton, Sheamus, and Triple H being given the best material, but those guys are already established and well over when they could be focusing on giving some of the better material to those further down the roster because they haven't established themselves properly yet.
Exactly. People like who you said, people like CM Punk, Triple H, etc. They have an ability to weave straw into gold 90% of the time. Now 10% is like accounting for stuff like you said, the Authority. That's kind of a cursed object when you think about it.
Yeah, they don't.
But other times they're just able to like snap their fingers and give compelling television whenever they're on screen.
Yeah.
But with Titus and other people like him in the mid card, they're at the mercy of the bookers for better or worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I said before, they don't put enough effort into their mid card performers. They rely too much heavily on the main event guys.
It's also living proof once again that they're not prepared to come out of their comfort zone and actually try and actually do new ideas. I mean, they have been using the newer talent in particularly in the last couple of years. I mean, we've seen Cesaro come a long way since he first debuted as the boyfriend of Oksana and saying everything in 5 languages. But ever since he dropped the US title, I think it was in 2013 he dropped the belt to Kofi Kingston, if I'm not mistaken. They didn't really do anything with him. They just kind of drifted in obscurity for a while until he got paired up with the Real Americans. Papers, please. And then, I mean, when they paired him up with Tyson Kidd, I thought, great. They're actually pairing him up with someone else who's been overlooked and not used properly. He got his first tag title reign in 5 years since he was part of the Hart Dynasty. And
then Samoa Joe happened.
Yeah, I mean, then Tyson Kidd's nowhere to be seen once again.
Thanks to injury.
Oh, that sucks. And, Cesaro, to be fair, although he's not a champion, he found himself onto the main event of SmackDown this week against Seth Eric Cartman Rollins. I'm going to milk that for all it's worth. Wouldn't be surprised if somebody has a sign for Raw and says, "Here, do you want some cheesy poofs?" Anyone who's listening, make that a thing.
I am going to the SmackDown after SummerSlam. It's actually coming to Providence.
Great.
I'm heavily considering doing a Kevin Owens poster when I go there, but if you convince me hard enough, I might throw in a South Park reference.
Oh, that will be something.
I know they've done pictures of Triple H and Stephanie as South Park characters, and it just says with them mocking the Yes movement, but with the authorita above their heads. I thought, no, it's like someone's been listening.
Yeah.
Hmm. I think I just might try to Photoshop Seth Rollins' head on Eric Cartman.
You will respect my authority. Wonder if Oni's listening to this.
Well,
Hmm.
sure, he must be annoyed by the Cartman jokes as of now.
Um, Code 92, did you actually give your opinion on the tag title match?
Not yet, but
Go ahead.
I did actually enjoy this match. It was pretty decent tag team match. Both teams did very well, connected, and I'm glad to see the primetime players get away and retain. So I know this probably not going to be the end of this rivalry from what I've seen
No.
this week, but hopefully they'll end things up by SummerSlam. That's the rumor I'm hearing.
Okay. Jay Seeker will be unavailable momentarily, so
Okay.
we shall move on to Bray Wyatt versus Roman Reigns. I felt this match went on a little bit too long. Not to say that it wasn't entertaining, but I felt like less is more with that particular scenario. And it's just Bray Wyatt going after people who were members of the Shield. I'm surprised he hasn't targeted Rollins yet, which honestly surprises me. Again, the match itself wasn't bad, but the setup, with the story angle between these two, we've seen this before. It's not really anything inventive or new, and I just felt like it could have been done better if they'd not gone with the personal angle. I mean, putting up onto the Tron pictures of, personal pictures of Roman Reigns with his daughters, like, this is reminding me of Randy Orton, where he's, there's images of him with his family coming into the arena, or, DDP, with stalking images of then Undertaker's wife Sarah during the Invasion saga in 2001. It's one thing if you go after, target somebody that's a relative of a wrestler, but they happen to be a wrestler as well. That's one thing. But when you bring in elements where the person that's the object of attention, for want of a better description, is not actually a wrestler and has no means of being able to respond or retaliate applicably in the story, it does come across as being a little bit uncreative and a little bit unnecessary with the direction that they're going in with it.
I
And since
agree
Jay
with that.
Seeker's unavailable, we'll start with you, Co92.
Well, as for the match itself, he's back. Anyways, well, the match itself was pretty decent from what I got from it, and since I noticed that since Luke Harper actually interfered to help Bray Wyatt with a win, and it didn't quite that bug me that much, which so I am because I am from what I hear they are going to reunite the Wyatt family. However, since Eric Rowan is injured at the moment, there's been rumors about a replacement for him, but we don't know about that since from what I've been hearing, this is a setting up a 6-man tag match at SummerSlam, which could feature the Wyatt family with a possible new third member against Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and Sting. So it could be interesting to see where this will go.
I thought it was just going to lead up to a regular old tag match with Reigns and Ambrose versus Wyatt and Harper.
Well, that is a kind of a rumor I've been hearing about, but since I've been hearing that Sting's probably gonna be involved in this angle, that it could go for the 6-man tag match, or possibly have Sting just be at Ambrose and Reigns' side during the match. But it hasn't been etched in yet so far.
All right. Although there is a very intriguing and enticing angle of having Sting on the same team as that of Reigns and Ambrose. I mean, I think particularly, oh good lord, the idea of Sting and Ambrose being on the same team. One's, just plain crazy, and the other one's been crazy since he's been in that gimmick since the.
Oh, don't remind me of that insane icon gimmick. Ugh.
At times I felt like he was channeling his inner Jim Carrey. It's just like, dude, where are you going with this?
I think he was just on TNA and realized that none of what he's going to say or do really matters, so he just went bonkers mad.
He probably went bonkers when he saw the script of what he was asked to do, and he's like, no, go do this. This is better. This is funnier.
And again, it is TNA. Half the people attached to TNA are already bonkers gone mad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's academic.
Anyways, want to hear my thoughts on Bray Wyatt?
Go ahead.
Well, remember when I said that there are people in the mid-card who are amazing but are really at the mercy of the bookers for what they can or can't do? Yep. Bray Wyatt is one of them. He is a god on the mic. We can all agree on that.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
But he really has shit to do. He's like, I'm mysterious, I'm spooky, I have that weird hillbilly bayou cultist thing going on. What do you want me to do? Feud with Reigns. Why? Because.
Reasons.
Well, they did give a little bit of reasons, since he did cost him a spot in Money in the Bank.
Yeah, but we never really have a motive besides he's nuts.
You got a point there.
It's been 2 years, and the pair of you do actually raise a very good point with this. He's been in this gimmick for nearly 2 years since he had his debut match as Bray Wyatt at SummerSlam 2013 with Kane in that Burning Ring of Fire match. What has the guy done since, aside from feuding with Cena, the one-off appearance with Taker, which, to give Wyatt credit, he pulled off a reasonably decent match despite the fact he was on an injured ankle. I will give credit where credit is due, but...
Then again, he was wrestling with The Undertaker. Sprained ankle or not, if you're put in a match with him, you do that match.
Exactly.
Yeah. But, again, comes back to it. He gets this major heel monster push where everybody is pretty much, scared witless out of him, including what they did with the whole Daniel Bryan situation, which lasted about 2 weeks with Daniel Wyatt. I was just so dumb. But they don't do anything with him. I mean, this is a guy. Could you imagine what it would have been like if this guy had become undisputed champion?
Oh, Jesus. Oh, yeah. That would have been something else.
But the powers that be like to be stupid, which is pretty much every week. Again, I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but I don't do anything with him. But we're getting off on a tangent, which is pretty much the norm with anything I do these days, but you were getting into your thoughts about the match.
To be honest, I didn't really like the match that much. It felt like it it felt like it had too slow of a pace.
Mm-hmm.
And we've already seen what these guys can do, and they brought it again on Sunday.
Mm.
And really, there isn't that much new that they brought to the table within like the last God knows how long.
Mm.
And I know WWE is trying to like lead into something with Luke Harper coming in there, and then the next night on Raw, Dean Ambrose allied himself with Roman Reigns, so we all know where that's going.
Mm-hmm.
But I really don't think that this is going to be that big of a draw for them in the foreseeable future.
No. That, and we've seen the Shield versus the Wyatts before, but the only difference is there's a man missing on either side. I mean, I don't know what has happened with
One of them got injured, and another one is in the middle of a cheesy poof bender.
I will note that for all it's worth.
Anyways, is there anything else we can talk about this match, or can we go on to what many people consider to be one of the better parts of the night?
And by that, I'm sure you're referring to Charlotte versus Brie Bella versus Sasha Banks.
Yes.
I'm going to give WWE major props for bringing Sasha, Charlotte, and Becky Lynch up to the main roster, because from what I understand, this is only the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, the Divas division needed a shot in the arm, and those women brought it.
Exactly.
Also, Triple H and Stephanie are monster supporting this angle with the fresh women coming in from NXT. And considering NXT is Triple H's baby and pet project, you know that, like with the tag team division, he is trying to redefine the women's division in WWE because it's needed a major overhaul for years.
Yeah, pretty much the last. I was about to say who the last major amazing diva was and how long it's been since she's been there, but a lot of people may or may not consider AJ Lee to be that last amazing great diva. I was probably thinking along the lines of like Mickie James or.
Yeah, you could probably say that.
Yeah, it's pretty much ever since Lita and Trish Stratus left the WWE. It's been Mickie James, Natalya, and AJ Lee trying their damnedest to pull the sinking ship that is the Divas division.
Yeah. But of course, the big problem is, of course, the executives that don't support, since since there's been kind of rumors from what I hear that they don't want the Divas matches to overshadow the men, which is so ridiculous.
Not to mention a certain man with a certain overbite in a certain production truck kind of stringing things along.
I don't understand what you're talking about, Mister. These divas are awesome. They're better than those. Shut up, Kevin Dunn.
Done!
Anyways, we can talk about Kevin Dunn being out of his time.
I have a lot to say about him trying to bury Kevin Owens.
Yeah, we'll get to that when we get to that. We'll get to that when we get to that. For now, let's talk about one of the good parts of tonight.
Yeah.
This is like first time I've ever seen Charlotte and Sasha the Boss Banks competing. I actually gave a damn about the women's division again. I'm like, this match was enjoyable. I like this. And of course, Charlotte taking after her old man, but also doing a slight spin of her style. Instead of the figure 4, it's the figure 8. I look at it like, girl, that's impressive. Damn!
Uh-huh.
I'm starting to think that Charlotte Banks is quickly shooting up some people's best divas lists.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she has been for quite the past year or so.
Although I don't think she'll be able to steal Oni's heart anytime soon.
No, his heart will always belong to Summer Rae.
Or Lana Ray, if anything is to go by from this week's Raw.
But this is not Raw.
Yeah.
No, we go to SmackDown after that, which is even better.
Anyways, so Charlotte wins, everyone's happy, Brie taps, everyone's...
Bitch.
And are we ready to move on to the next match?
Pretty much.
Alright.
The match was pretty good.
Alright, it's time for round 3 of John Cena versus Kevin Owens. Oh, goody. To be honest, I really, except the ending, I really love this match. It shows what John Cena and Kevin Owens could do. We all know that Kevin Owens is an absolute marvel in the ring. He's a prodigy. He's an amazing heel, one of the best I've ever seen.
Yep.
And meanwhile, John Cena, we all know that if you put a fire under his ass, he can put in a 100% effort any night of the week.
Yep.
But then again, we go back to how they decide to finish it.
Mm-hmm.
So you might know that it was a back and forth match all night. They were pulling out finishers left and right. John Cena even hits his super AA from the turnbuckle ropes. And Kevin Owens kicks out of that. He's like, oh my god, this guy just won't quit. And then he quits.
Yep. Although according to him, it's to live to fight another day. And I'm looking at that thinking, yeah, you're just saving face because you don't want to admit that you tapped out to Cena.
Yeah, there is a lot of shame to tapping out to Cena and that finisher.
Yeah. But I will say this. It's a good way to finish the angle between the two of them because we don't want Cena versus Owens 4 this soon because, we don't want this to turn into Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio again anytime soon. Nor do we want a repeat of the Christian Orton angle from 4 years ago. But this is one of the few times I'll give Cena major props and credibility. He has made that United States Championship look more than credible, so much more credible that you look at the undisputed title that Seth Rollins possesses at the moment, and people are looking at the United States title and think, I want that belt. I don't want the world title belt. I want the US belt. This thing looks much better now.
Bad news, MJ. They're actually going to make that a storyline, which means that Seth Rollins is probably going to have this belt till December.
Well, to be fair, it does kind of make sense to do that angle. And to be honest, I don't mind seeing a champion versus champion match.
But it really kind of puts it in a no-win situation. Like, if Seth Rollins loses, then Cena's the WWE champion again, and we all know how we want that to happen.
But the way you look at it is, at this point in time, I think it's too soon for Cena to have the main World Championship gold again. I mean, I think sooner or later, either a year from now or 2 years from now, Cena is going to get the belt again, and he will become a 16-time world champion, which will tie him with Ric Flair. I mean, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. We know it's going to happen. The question you have to ask yourself afterwards is, will they have Cena break Flair's record? And if that ever does happen, there is no way Cena is ever going to be praised by any member of the WWE collective, because to them, it's one of the few sacred things that are left in this business, because there were two sacred things up until WrestleMania last year. There was Flair's record, and then there was the streak.
And then Brock Lesnar happened.
Yeah.
I still maintain, and I'm just going to keep this brief, I still maintain the two people that were right to end the streak was either CM Punk, because what more could he have solidified his legacy within the company and actually be taken seriously as a heel.
But remember, MJ, Paul Bear died a few weeks prior. They couldn't have him lose on that note. So they're kind of stuck to have Undertaker get the win.
Yeah. But then the only other person, and this is something I've come back to in the last few years, the only other person that should have had the streak.
Let me guess. The Legend Killer.
Actually, I was going to say Shawn Michaels.
But I think Randy Orton back in WrestleMania 21 is somebody to consider as someone who should break the streak.
Yeah.
I actually heard rumors that they were heavily considering it, and I would be all for Randy Orton breaking the streak back then, because I wasn't following wrestling at the moment, but wasn't The Undertaker not as popular as he was then?
I don't recall Taker being particularly unpopular back then. I mean,
but he isn't the legendary phenom that he is spoken of 10 years down the line.
I think that's just down to personal opinion, because Taker is always going to have those that are against him and those that are with him, but he's always going to be respected just based upon what he has given to the business. And I wouldn't go so far as to say that he was unpopular.
I mean, unpopular among the smart. Like, I don't really remember what people were saying about him back in 2005, but he really didn't break out as an utter legend until 2-3 years down the road.
Oh yeah, that's when he was feuding with Edge.
The Undertaker and Batista feud was the first feud that really got me into wrestling. Those two were the man on SmackDown back in 2007.
I was watching it at a time where he was the man against people like Triple H, Austin, Rock, and Kurt Angle, and that is going back a few years now. Mind you, there was also mentioned the time he was feuding with DDP. Good Lord, that's 14 years ago. Good Lord, where's the time gone?
But yeah, enough of this nostalgia trip. We could, talking about the past is something that wrestling fans always do.
Yeah. We'll get Co92's opinion about the US title match as and when we do, because obviously he's indisposed for the time being.
I guess until then we can talk about the segment with Big Show and Miz. Don't worry, I'll make it short.
Good.
Miz talks a lot of smack in the middle of the ring. Talks about how Ryback's faking his injury because he's too scared to face me. It's like blah 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 blah. Then Big Show comes out, and then he punches Miz out, and then he walks back into the locker room.
Pretty much.
And once the Big Show becomes the savior, who would have thunk?
To be fair, Miz is one of those people, he is so good at making people absolutely despise him, but again, that's the whole point of his character. If he's able to get you to hate him, there you go.
Yeah, he does the slimy heel role extremely well. One of the best in the company.
I thought it was a shame that they couldn't have made more of his face run, because by that point he had been a heel pretty much his whole damn career. But
Yeah, he was an amazing heel back in like early 2011.
yeah, especially being the awesome one and the only world title reign he's ever had, which
Compared to other title reigns, it's not bad.
no, he pretty much did the usual douchebag mentality by cashing in on a downed opponent like Randy Orton at the time, who'd already just faced off Wade Barrett.
WrestleMania 27 was supposed to be the moment where he would probably, that was supposed, we all talk about how, like, because The Miz always talks about how in WrestleMania 27 I beat John Cena, but he only beat him because The Rock decided to be a dick that day.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Dwayne.
Anyways, Sia, what do you think of the Cena Owens match?
Well, this was well pretty much like their previous two matches. This was an excellent match. Both did very good as usual. And I'm not too really much about Cena winning. I think it was a pretty good for both of them at this point. And I'm sure hope that Kevin Owens at this point will eventually be back up in the main card at sooner or later. to provide that Buck to Beaver can stop trying to sabotage him, you little scoundrel.
Yeah, but it's Kevin Dunn. He's practically, it's a staple for him to meddle in other people's affairs. And from what I understand, and do correct me if I'm wrong, but he has been trying to sabotage Triple H's mission statement with NXT. And I'm like, dude,
Exactly.
you mind the main roster, which you've been sabotaging for years. Leave Triple H alone with NXT. He's actually trying to lay the groundwork for the future. And from what I've been seeing with the guys coming up from NXT, he's been doing just that. He's doing a damn good job with it.
Look, Kevin Dunn, if you want to hang out with has-beens and old ideas from the 90s, I think Dixie Carter and Jeff Jarrett might need your assistance pretty soon.
And you wonder why Jim Cornette loathes the guy.
Jim Cornette don't like anybody. What are you talking about?
Well, duh. I mean, he hates Kevin Dunn with a passion.
Let me guess. The same passion that he loathes Triple H and Shawn Michaels with.
Anyways,
Sorry.
are we ready to talk about the main event?
Let's go.
Yeah.
All right, it's time for the main event. The Beast versus the Coon.
The Coon?
Huh?
That's Hartman's
Yeah.
superhero persona from a few South Park episodes.
Oh, right. The
Yeah.
Coon. I'm going to be honest with you. This was pretty much, for the majority of the match, a repeat of what we saw last year at SummerSlam. Instead, but the difference is, cut Cena's name out, paste Seth Rollins' name in, and there you go.
Nothing really changes except for the ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you guys didn't like it.
It wasn't bad, but
I think it made Rollins look weak as a champion. The fact that he retained via no contest. I mean, if he had actually had a hard fought victory and actually beat Brock convincingly, then I'd look at it and think, okay, I can actually see some credibility and some concrete reasons why you should keep that title. But you retained that belt via a technicality, or because. And let's deal with the other big pink elephant in the room. If Undertaker had returned at SummerSlam last year to deal with Brock Lesnar because he was sick of him and Heyman gloating about the streak, only 4 months removed, I'd say fine. But 1 year and 4 months removed, no, that is weak story writing. Yes, it's great to see Taker come back, but 469 days removed since the streak. Sorry, can't take that seriously. That's just really, really lazy story writing.
I know revenge is a dish best served cold, but you don't have to wait for it to turn into a flippin' ice cube.
Cold?
Hell,
That's Sub-Zero!
and the hell, I mean, when the Undertaker returned back at WrestleMania 31, I mean, that could have been like a perfect time for him to get his revenge on that.
But no.
Yeah.
So,
if I have to give Battleground a rating from between A and F, I'm going to have to say a D-, because overall, most of the matches were entertaining at best, but there were only 2 matches that really highlighted the event and actually made it worth watching. But the main event was a complete letdown. Like I said, Lesnar Rollins, it was just Lesnar being a one-man, dominating show against Rollins, and again, Rollins retained via technicality, and when they do things like that, it makes him look weak as a champion. It's like, say what you will about Cena, but at least when he gets a win, it looks decisive and he looks strong as a champion. With Rollins, they just went the Chris Jericho route by making him tame via technicality.
to be honest, this pay-per-view has as much value to it as a Kyle Hebert to be continued segment from Dragon Ball Z. No, seriously, think about it. Will Roman Reigns get his revenge on Bray Wyatt now that Luke Harper has aligned himself with him? Who will John Cena face next for the United States title? And how will the new confrontation with Undertaker and Brock Lesnar pan out? Tune in tomorrow on Monday Night Raw. Fuck that, let's go to SmackDown.
Yeah.
Oh boy. And we begin SmackDown this week with Sheamus versus Dean Ambrose. Not a bad brawl-styled match between the two. Would have been better if poor man's Munsters didn't come out to distract Ambrose, which pretty much cost him the victory. Aren't Wyatt and Harper supposed to be after Reigns, or is that dusted? Either way, Sheamus wins via bro kick. Cheap.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Dean Ambrose is supposed to be the guy who's going to help Roman Reigns. His case isn't looking good, ladies and gentlemen.
No.
Not at this point right now.
No. And we have a talking segment with Neville. Calls Stardust a coward for the way he's been acting towards him, and that he's the strangest thing he's ever encountered. And then, just as he's gone out to the ring to go face Adam Rose, you see Stardust on the monitor behind JoJo, where he's done his hand in the star formation that he's done before, gets his hands to peel back like a curtain, revealing a creepy grin, and puts the star back. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna need some coffee later. That's gonna keep me up all night. Then we cut to Neville versus Adam Rose. It's not a good time to be the leader of the Exotic Express, if that's still a thing. And he fell short to Neville, who hit Red Arrow for the win. Stardust rains on his parade is just creepy with the way he's so into this. He asks Neville to be his hero and to embrace the strange. No thanks, I don't wish to watch TNA. What do you guys make of this this angle that they're trying to sell with Neville and Stardust?
Well, I'm assuming this could eventually lead to the whole to the match that they're playing between Stardust and Stephen Amell, but I'm not sure about what they're going to do at this point.
To be honest, if Stardust really wanted to make me care about him, he'd go for a belt.
I'd say that's a fair comment because he hasn't had a singles run since he dropped the Intercontinental Championship to, oh yes, to the Big Show. And then Big Show loses it a month later at Extreme Rules in a tables match by
stepping through a table.
Damn it, Big Show! Cody Rhodes presents another embarrassing Big Show moment.
To be honest, his entire career could be considered an embarrassing moment.
Yeah. That and Cody hasn't had a tag team reign since he and Goldust dropped it to the Usos last year. Because I think the Usos had it for a while, then they picked it up, and then the Usos picked it up again. I don't know what it is with Cody. They're at that point where they don't really know what to do with him. I mean, they had a seemingly promising feud set up with Goldust, and then it's done and dusted with, no pun intended, after the Fastlane event in February. It just had like that one match, and then phew,
well, the officials believe that nobody was getting behind on that feud, which is why they had to drop it so fast.
I think we'll move on to another segment. I have something to say. King Barrett goes on a gloating tirade that despite the dead man returning, he was the most important aspect of the Battleground event, and that he defeated 3 of the best wrestlers in the WWE to become the current King of the Ring. And he's putting the locker room and the fans on notice. This is what I said with Code 82 last week. Barrett has gotten much better on the microphone in these last 2 years, because you look at his body language and the way he gives his delivery on the microphone, he is much more comfortable doing what he's doing. Because when you look at the way he was brought in when he was Chris Jericho's protege, when he first started on the first season of NXT, you could tell the guy wasn't quite in his element. And even when the Nexus came in and invaded Raw, he wasn't quite there. Now, it's like it's second nature for him. But do you feel like he's at this kind of crossroads, even though he is King of the Ring, he's kind of stuck in obscurity again because they don't know what to do with him?
To be honest, I wish we could go back to the old rule where if you win King of the Ring, you get a title shot at SummerSlam. That would pretty much force them to make the King actually mean something.
Code 92?
Much, I mean, because like I said before, he is a pretty decent talent, but as you know, they are pretty much he's pretty much stuck in limbo at this point. But I do hope they please give him some like somewhere like around the mid card a shot like either the U.S. title or Intercontinental title again. I don't know if they want to go that route, but it's there's not very much to say at this point. There's not. Just hope they can do something with him at this point because he is not a bad talent.
Yeah, yeah, that's completely fair comment. Oh goody! We have another talking segment with Kevin Owens. All week, people have been saying, you tapped out. That's not the way I look at it. I look at it as living to fight another day. That's why he tapped out, because he has a family to feed. He mouths off to Rusev on trying to figure out which Lana to go to second base with. Personally, I think Lana's better than Lana Ray, but that's my personal hang-up. And then we get Rusev versus Owens. This prompted the Bulgarian Brute to the ring and these two to put on a decent match. Say what you will about Owens' personality, but the man knows how to wrestle. Though I think it was lame he got himself counted out, but the point is for him to be taken seriously as a douchebag heel, so mission accomplished. You look at the way his character's presented, he's almost like a modern day Triple H. And when I say modern day Triple H, I'm referring to like the McMahon-Helmsley regime, or when he brought DX back as a heel faction in late '99. This guy is so good at being a heel, you love to hate him. There are heels you just hate to hate them. But this one, he is just so good at what he does, and he's got the athletic capability to back up what he does in the ring. It's just like, yeah, aren't I supposed to hate you?
Yeah. Kevin Owens is a wrestling prodigy and a downright jackass of a heel. It's amazing.
Yeah, he's proven that when he was in Ring of Honor during those years.
Huh?
Yeah, his feuds with Generico/Zayn are amazing. I really can't wait for them to just rip it up in a main event one day.
Owens, in some weird way, he reminds me of CM Punk a little bit. The guy will just go on the mic and is very forthright with what he says. I mean, he doesn't quite have the same charisma and the same savviness as CM Punk, because there is Punk, and then there's other WWE wrestlers that try to be as charismatic and drop the pipe bombs that he did before he left. But Owens, there's the same kind of, I'm going to say this, and I don't care if you like it, but you will hear it. Especially what, the way Punk just punked out Virgil, but we're not going to get onto that because he went so blue against that guy. I'm not even going to repeat what he said because that's just, damn.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm sold on Kevin Owens as a mic guy and as a wrestler. If they could get him to turn face, perfect package. Anyone want to add to that?
Not much to say. I mean, it's Kevin fucking Owens.
I think everything that has been said about Owens has already been said, and everyone's just waiting for what he's gonna do next.
Fair enough. Time to bring out the divas. The Bella Twins versus Naomi and Sasha Banks.
On the one hand, the Bella Twins. On the other hand, Sasha Banks.
Yeah.
I think that kind of gives a good summary of the match.
Time for a tag team of talented athletes to showcase their unique talents. The others are the Bella Twins. While I will concede that Nikki Bella has improved her performance, she's no Trish Stratus, Lita, nor Jacqueline. One of the best. Bella's win via rack attack. Once again, Naomi is made to job to them. I think I pretty much speak for everyone when I say this. Disgusting. I've been pretty much vocal in the last few weeks, months, dare I say it, that Naomi is one of those women they need to really, really start pushing into the main event picture as far as the women's division is concerned, and actually put the belt on her, because this girl's got the charisma, she's got the athletic capability, and the girl knows how to cut it on the mic, and she's actually evolving her character by going heel. But typical bright ideas of the WWE, we're not going to do anything with her because she's not Nikki Bella. And to me, that's just wrong.
Yeah, because if you're not the stars of Total Divas, you're not going to get jack shit.
That is actually apt, but very true. Jay Seeker, what is your opinion on the way that Naomi is being handled creative-wise, and what is your general take on the way that they're actually evolving her character, and just the general sense of where she is right now compared to how she was when she was a Funkadactyl?
Well, that is a loaded question, so forgive me if I take a while to actually answer it, but when you... 3.5 years ago, she was a prop.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's an actual wrestler. So I think that, in the long term, means improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And now that she has Sasha Banks and
Tamina.
Yeah, and Tamina Snuka on her side, she can actually have some talent to help push her over. And I think they're going to be I think they might serve as good antagonists for the new Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, and Paige triad. But I don't think they'll be able to get that feud between the two of them if the Bellas are still in the picture.
This is the basic problem that I have with the women's division as a whole on the main roster of WWE. It's almost like the Bella Twins are the female modern-day version of the Clique. They are just monopolizing that division and holding all the good ones back. I mean, if you think back to the day, as good, as talented and good performers as Shawn Michaels and Triple H are, and still are, because I think Shawn's got at least 2 matches left in him.
Despite that, you had to admit that they were utter dicks in the locker room.
Oh yeah, this is the point I'm getting to, because I think Nikki has this mindset that because her other half is John Cena, she has the threshold to basically squash people in the women's division and be able to keep potential talented women that want to come back, but tell them, no, they've said nasty things about me, by the way, Maria Kanellis, you still rock.
Exactly.
Again, this is why I think of them as the modern-day equivalent of the Clique, because they're holding people back. I mean, I think if AJ Lee was still here, she wouldn't be Divas champion right now, because they'd say, oh, but Nikki's a better wrestler. In what universe? In what universe is she a better wrestler? I will grant, girl's got athletic capabilities to her, and she's improved. But improved doesn't necessarily make you good. It just means you've improved.
I'm sure in Kevin Dunn's universe she's a good... No, wait, that's not wrestling she's doing. Never mind.
Kevin Dunn is not a human being. Moving on.
Exactly.
Man's a moron.
Next match.
And we come to the main event. Seth Eric Cartman Rollins versus the King of Swing, Cesaro.
Yay! Cesaro's fighting the champion. Let's see this go absolutely nowhere.
The main event was made for Cesaro. He knows how to sell and get the crowd entertained, but he's also able to make others look better.
Yeah, Seth Rollins is a god at wrestling.
Yeah. Rollins and Big E Langston, to name but a few. It's in the same vein as, say, Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, or CM Punk working their fingers to the bone that they're able to make guys like Cena look better than he actually is. And I bring up the comparison with Cena because Shawn Michaels, John Cena, WrestleMania 23, match of the night. And then again, John Cena versus CM Punk, Money in the Bank 2011, match of the year, and it made that pay-per-view the event of the year. And Cesaro is in that same class because, like I say, he has that gifted ability to make someone almost look like they're world-class level. I mean, heck, if he put Kevin Dunn in a match, he could at least look like X-Pac. A stretch, I grant, but despite a decent match, and it was a decent match, Cesaro loses via pin. Afterwards, Owens walks to the ring and pummels a down Cesaro. This guy has issues, and it looks like that's what they're setting up for the next angle, because Owens is done with Cena, and as we stated earlier, we don't really want to see Cena versus Owens 4 anytime soon, because normally with a set of matches in a feud or a series, 3's enough. When you start to turn it into 4, we get a repeat of Orton versus Christian, and as good as those matches were out of the two of them, I think Christian had a blast doing that because he actually got brought up to the main event, which he hadn't been in a long time. It loses its flavor very quickly. Owens and Cesaro, what's your guys' take on that?
I actually would like to see that, and from so far, I think they are setting up for it. So it's good. I particularly agree good match between these two at SummerSlam.
Jay Seeker? Jay Seeker.
Boo.
Hold on a sec.
Having technical difficulties.
Yeah, happens.
And plus, it's another product from NXT making its way onto the main roster, which is what the fans want to see, because NXT is more of a wrestling-themed product and less sports entertainment product, which Mackie seems to be under this illusion. That's what we want. No, we watch professional wrestling. That's what we tune into more SmackDown than Raw, because Raw is nothing more than a glorified 3-hour soap opera. It's definitely looking as though Triple H is slowly winning this, I don't want to say confrontation, but he's starting to win this uphill task of actually taking these talented, athletic wrestlers from his particular brand and actually putting onto the main roster and saying, hey, here's what you've been missing on NXT. Hey, this is the future. Oh, and by the way, I'm in control of this. And the fact that Kevin Dunn is trying to down promote or unpromote Kevin Owens, it's not good for business. This is something that JR had said quite a few times back in the day. When somebody is getting over and getting over to such a point that the fans are bringing the signs and cheering that person's name, Austin, being a prime example. The fans always make the correct choice, and they're right every single time because, let's put it this way, the fans were one of the major contributing reasons why Steve Austin is not only a 6-time WWE champion, but in the Hall of Fame, because he pretty much resonated with everybody. I mean, the working guy that saw what he did back in the day by going up to Vince McMahon, flipping him off, cussing him, says, "I'm going to drink my beer on the job, and too damn bad if you don't like it." People are like, "That's so beautiful." And if they could just get Kevin Owens into a situation, probably at this stage more tweener than face-wise, if they could get him into a position whereby the fans can resonate and live through his actions.
There's something visceral about Steve Austin saying "screw you" to the boss.
Exactly.
And you could say that that's something visceral. Also touches some of Cena's younger fans when he says, "Never give up, hustle, loyalty, respect, all that." The thing is, when you are a great wrestler, it's usually because you tap into something visceral, whether it's positive emotion or negative emotion. I think that Kevin Owens has that ability to tap into that visceral emotion and become probably one of the greatest heels since Ric Flair.
Ooh. And Flair. See, Flair was one of those guys that you didn't care if he was a heel or not. I mean, that guy.
Yeah, he was a god at wrestling as well.
Yeah, who's the real wrestling guy now, JBL?
See, the thing with Flair is he could get so animated, face, heel, or Flair crazy that you didn't care. I mean, especially with the way that Random DC has done his Flairisms back in the day, which has gotten everybody laughing on the floor, splitting their sides laughing, because let's face it, the guy is just amazing at what he does. And I know he's listening. Thank you. You know, it's just the way that it's, as Jay Seeker said, just to be visceral and just be able to, you know, bring that passion and be able to present that character the way that the audience wants it to be presented, but at the same time the way that the artist in question wants it to be presented. And Flair, to me, at times, was like a Tasmanian devil on Prozac. Probably the... Oh god, now I got this image of the Tasmanian devil doing styling and profiling. I just got this image now of Taz wearing the robe with the blonde hair and... Oh my god. I know as my brother probably listening, it's like, Tasmanian Devil and Ric Flair. Okay, yes, I'm gonna do that. That is the basic problem with the way that a lot of characters are done in WWE today. Everyone seems to have doesn't seem to have sight of almost this lost art of being an extension of yourself. Whereas a lot of wrestlers these days are basically just given a note saying, "This is the way we want you to do it." Whereas you get someone like Flair, Michaels, Undertaker, Kane, or Triple H, when they're going out performing on the mic or in the ring, it's just them being themselves, but with the volume turned up, and that is when people can relate and find you a lot more endearing. Is because you're being yourself, you're being honest to a subtle degree, and that comes off as being much more genuine and naturalistic, and people can buy into that because, again, it comes off as, something that almost sounds second nature to them and not something that's pre-rehearsed and all put together. I can't really sell it any further than that. I mean, you could argue CM Punk was essentially being himself, because how Punk talked on the microphone, whether it was in the ring dropping a pipe bomb or schooling somebody backstage because they had to decide to have a moment to go be stupid. You see how he acts on Twitter and see how he acts in real life. That is CM Punk. End of. Since we're still in the moment, I may as well give my rating for this week's SmackDown. For a post-Battleground event, I felt this delivered based upon what I saw. Matches were entertaining, could have done with less segments, but some things can't be avoided. All in all, I give this week a C-. Again, it's one of those things, not every pay-per-view they're going to come off with a strong finish or a strong post-show to an event, because it's next to near impossible to be able to do that. I mean, when you get events that are considered one of the big four, whether it's WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, or Survivor Series, you need a strong result before and after the pay-per-view, because it just makes certain people look stronger, and it just sets up angles going into the next event, which of course, we can't avoid this subject. Seth Rollins and John Cena. Where to start on this? I personally think it's too early to even remotely consider putting Cena back in the title picture, but the flip side to that question is, who else is available? What's your take on that, Jay Seeker?
Well, it's really nuanced when you think about it. Like, we know how complex wrestling can get.
Mm-hmm.
And, just, like, when you know where they're going to take it, either you're really excited or you're really, against it. When you don't know where they're taking it, you're just like on the edge of your seat, and you're hyped as hell.
Mm-hmm.
That's what made the Monday Night Wars so amazing. These two were pulling crazy ideas out of their head every week for about 2 years, trying to outdo each other.
Pretty much.
And I think with like the state of the wrestling world as it is now, it's almost impossible to like grab that compelling feeling again. It's like we already know how everything's going to pan out. We've seen stuff like this before. We're able to predict how the matches are going to go. We're able to like look up online and see where X wrestler is and what X wrestler is saying about Y wrestler. That mystery is gone.
Yeah.
I think the only way to really appreciate wrestling is to like take a step back at the big picture, or to like zoom in so close that you can't see where it's all going. It almost has to be match by match, or even move by move. That's how wrestling can stay compelling.
I would not argue with that. That's actually a very sound and concise perspective to look at it. there's one of three ways I think could set up Cena versus Rollins. I think will be on number. He's either number 2 or number 3 in regards to the amount of matches that the two have had. Because I know they had one at tables, ladders, chairs, and stairs of all names last year. That was really stupid. I think it'll either be one, the undisputed title will be put up for grabs, or the US Championship will be put up for grabs, or 3, and this is the one I have an inkling that they might go for, and it's a stipulation we haven't seen since WrestleMania 16, a 2 full match. And again, when they did that at the time, that was to put to rest the issue of Kurt Angle holding both the now defunct European Championship and the Intercontinental Championship, which was in a triple threat match between himself, Chris Jericho, and Chris Benoit. And awkwardness aside, because of future events, that was actually one of the best matches on the card. But then again, at the time, it was 3 at the time, very youthful wrestling thoroughbreds that would go on to have reasonably good careers, and one which we won't talk about for obvious reasons. That is the direction I think they might go with if it does become an option where they want both titles to be up for grabs. I mean, you could argue in some sense it might be a title for title situation like they did at WrestleMania one year with Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior, where the world title and the IC belt was up for grabs. But I'm more in favor of the 2 full match, because you essentially would get to clean up house in the same manner, but it's the fact that you've gone through one match and then you have to go through an additional match afterwards. But if from what you've been hearing is true, this could be a program that sees the two of them go at it until December. I'm not so sure I have the patience to endure 4 months of Cena and Rollins having exchanges, because again, regarding the 3 match series rule, anything beyond that, it just gets stale. Okay.
I think that's...
Yeah, do you have anything to add to that?
I think there's nothing much else I can add.
Alrighty then. I don't know where the Code 92 has since disappeared. Just like to thank everybody for tuning in once again. Still getting used to these live segments, but you learn by doing and whatnot. And special thank you to my guests for this evening. Pleasure to be able to talk to you again, Jay Seeker. It's been far too long.
Same.
And should the Code 92 come back to listen to this part afterwards, thank you once again for your input, sir. It's more than appreciated as per normal. And so, we're on that road again, like every other year. We're heading to that little place in the summer that we call SummerSlam. No longer at the Staples Center in Los Angeles.
Yippee!
I mean, seriously, they kind of milked that gig for all it was worth. I think, what was it? I think it was from 2010 onwards that they were at.
5 straight SummerSlam. That's ridiculous.
I think Nick Nugent said something to the effect of that the Staples Center is cheap, and that might be one of the reasons that they went there. But you kind of got the sense of like, wait, was there like an exclusive deal to keep SummerSlam at the Staples Center in Los Angeles for a while? Because for a time, as you said, 5 straight years, they were at SummerSlam, for all that time, and some of them were good. I felt 2014 was an improvement for SummerSlam last year, and welcome back, by the way, Co92.
No problem.
But I don't know. I'm just glad it's actually come back to the East Coast, because I think this will be the first SummerSlam on the East Coast, I think, since 2002, because I think SummerSlam that year was at the Nassau Coliseum in New York, if I'm not mistaken.
Hold on, let me run the numbers.
I'm thinking it was in 2008.
2008 was in Indianapolis. Oh, no, actually, it wasn't from 2010 to 2014. It was 2009 to 2014.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And then 2007 had it in the Meadowlands. 2006 had it in Boston.
Oh, Weavile country.
2005 had it in DC. 2004 had it in Ontario.
Yeah, they did.
And 2003 had it in Phoenix, Arizona.
One of the things that we're talking about for a little bit whilst you stepped out, Co92, is what some of the matches that they're setting up for this year's SummerSlam. And as I said, it's looking more than likely they're going to set up for Cena versus Rollins again. And I said one of the things, this situation will probably go one of three ways. Either one, they either have it just for the undisputed title, which is probably one of the directions they're going to go in. Second will either be just for the United States Championship, because Rollins will have that attitude of, well, I've got nothing to prove to you, but you've got something to prove to me. Or the third option is one that we haven't seen since WrestleMania 16, which is a two-fall match where two championships will be up for grabs in the same match, but will be decided in different falls. And those that are young enough to remember, at WrestleMania 16, it was a two-fall match in a triple threat setup between Jericho, Benoit, and Kurt Angle for the now retired European Championship with the Intercontinental Championship. And if I recall correctly, that was actually one of the better matches on the card that night. But could you see a two-fall match being done for the US belt and the undisputed title between those two competitors?
It would be intriguing to see that, but I don't know if that's possible to happen. But I do expect they're going to have a champion versus champion type of match where they have both titles on the line. So either way, this could be interesting to see what will come with this.
I mean, we talked about earlier, just as we came on live this evening, is now, when I say this, I'm being objective in the way that they've presented Seth Rollins as a character and the way that they've booked him. As a wrestler, he's definitely one of the best I've seen to come along in a long time, but the way that they've booked him and had him retain the title the way he has done, they have made him look weak as a champion. I mean, to be able to retain against Lesnar via a technicality like that, I mean, it's taking the Chris Jericho route again. Whereas if it was someone like Steve Austin or The Rock, they well, with the exception of Royal Rumble 2013, but we're not going to talk about that. That never happened. Um, they worked their asses off to make themselves look good along with their opponents. Yet, and as a result, the WWE title has looked less than credible. Yet, Cena being the United States champion, the way he has been this year, it's made that belt look prestigious, even more prestigious, in fact, than the WWE Championship. And as much as we have some of our issues and naysays with Cena, you have to admit, if he was to win the title again this year, he would actually restore some credibility and put the light back on to the world title. But the question there lies in, is it too soon for him to win it again?
That's a big question there.
And they do need to start pushing new stars again. I mean, one of the things that I keep going back to is you look at that reaction that Dean Ambrose got by when he pinned Rollins' shoulders to the mat at Elimination Chamber. That crowd went insane. It was like, yes, this is the guy we want to see pushed. And as much as I think Cena probably has at least one or two reigns left in him as a world champion, the guy's not getting any younger. I think he's like 2 years away from 40.
Yeah.
Mind you, Jay Seeker, is Dean Ambrose as world champion something you'd like to see?
Not yet. I mean, I think a little ways down the road, Dean Ambrose could be an amazing champion, but it just doesn't feel right to have him get it from Seth Rollins right now. Because I know what WWE is trying to do with Seth Rollins. They're trying to do to Seth what they've done to champions in the past, where you have an outright dick of a champion who really doesn't deserve the belt, both in kayfabe and out.
Hmm.
And we're just waiting for the one guy to come along and just thoroughly and soundly beat him so we can finally have a good champion again. To be honest, I would rather have a situation where you have a champion who is so damn good and like nobody can touch him. Like you throw guy after guy after guy and you just like bam, bam, bam. To be honest, when I started watching WWE in 2007, I think that a few months after I started watching, that's when Randy Orton began his WWE title reign. And he was a good heel back in 2007.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
One of the best. This was like after his Legend Killer run, after his Rated RKO run.
Mm-hmm.
And he matured into a hell of a heel.
Very much so.
He took out a lot of credible wrestlers during his reign.
Oh yeah, that was because that was the year that he gained. You start using the patented punt kick.
Yep.
Now, that was a good finisher. It was a
Makes you wonder if Zack Ryder stole some of that. Hang on. Apparently, Double A wants to be part of this. Might as well go a little bit longer.
well, we can do like 15 minutes with him, can't we?
Yeah, do 60, a couple of more minutes and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
Just be able to get his opinion on some things. And we're just going to be waiting on him a moment. Apparently I have a message. Oh, I've been... Oh, okay. Oh, And Double A has joined us. Oh, there he is.
Good morning. Morning from where I am.
Yep. Evening for us.
Hey, Joey. Hey, Joey.
Hey!
What are we talking about here?
Well, we're just
We're just-
wrapping up right now, but we do have a few questions for you.
All right.
Right. First question. What did you think about the Divas? Specifically, the rise of Charlotte, Sasha Banks, and the rest.
Well, let's see. So far, so good. I mean, they're having long matches. I mean, this Monday they had 2 matches, which was completely rare, I think. This Sunday they had like an 11-minute match, which was amazing. It was a really good match. I want to see where this goes. I mean, so far they're doing a good job. I mean, they're really taking this seriously. They're taking this push of the Divas very seriously. But I want to see where this goes. I hope they what do you call this? I hope they drag this. I hope they carry this all the way to like next year or something. I really want this Divas revolution. I hate using the term diva. I want this women's wrestling revolution to continue on until like next year because I want the women to be treated the exact same way as the men are in WWE.
That's fair. Cena versus Owens. What's your take on that?
The fact that they made him tap was by far the biggest slap to my face ever. To me, as the biggest fan of Kevin Owens, I've been following Kevin Owens since his run in Ring of Honor. I've been following him since my run in Ring of Honor. And he is my favorite wrestler. Without a doubt. He is my favorite wrestler of all time, like right now. And he should have won. Because he's so over with the crowd. He's one of the best heels I have ever seen in such a really long time. And the fact they had him tap out like that is a big slap to my face. And now they're saying he's being pushed down the mid-card. Which is, again, another slap to my face. Because you're wasting such a good talent like him. Because he doesn't look like the typical wrestler. He doesn't, he's big per se. But he can move just like a regular 220-pound superstar. And if people know who he is from his past career, then surely they can get behind him. And they did. And they wasted that on him by making him tap out to John Super Invincible Cena.
One of the things that we have discussed is you look at the importance of championships at the moment. As much as I rate Seth Rollins as an athlete and as a performer, you have to admit they have made him look weak as WWE champion. I mean, to retain via technicality against Lesnar last Sunday. I mean, all right, the dead man returning, big deal, but to be able to be taken seriously as a champion, you have to be able to defeat somebody competently and decisively, cleanly, preferably, and I haven't really seen Rollins do that enough. Yet you look over in Cena's direction, that United States title has looked more relevant in these last 4 months than it's looked relevant in years. Probably not since the days when MVP held it, and we're going back a few years now.
Yeah, MVP was another one of my first experiences watching WWE. He was a good heel. His program with Matt Hardy was good.
Yeah,
and
him injuring his leg.
Yeah,
him injuring his leg was like the best thing I ever saw in that time.
And then they had the thing where they hated each other, yet they somehow were the tag team champions. That was hilarious.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Him,
They need to do that again. They need to do
sports
that
and all
again.
that. I wanted to see that kind of thing when they did Team Hell No.
Okay, so next question. What did you think of the main event?
Of what? Battleground?
Battleground.
Typical Lesnar match, him dominating most of the match. I did not expect the ending though.
No.
But it was a typical Lesnar match. I mean, I did know that rumors were spreading that he was going to return to Battleground, but I did not know he was going to invade and interrupt in the pay-per-view in the main event. But again, they're just booking Lesnar the way he is, this monster type heel that nobody can stop and all that yada yada yada. And to me, they should. I just want to see how they book Rollins for SummerSlam. To me, they just made him look super weak at Battleground. I thought he was going to put like more of a fight against Lesnar, but no, have him taken the Suplex City, have him take like 13 suplexes, let him own like a really good real estate in Suplex City. But again, typical Lesnar match. Nothing spectacular, nothing great.
Okay, any more questions?
Yeah, the way that they're booking Taker versus Lesnar at this year's SummerSlam. Now, I made the point of being very critical about this earlier. If they had set this angle up a year ago, where it had only been 4 months removed since the streak ending at WrestleMania, where Taker had come back and gunned after Heyman and Lesnar for gloating too much about the streak ending, I would have said, fair enough. But it's been a year and 4 months now. It makes the writing for this look completely lazy.
Ever heard of the phrase, strike while the iron is hot?
Yeah.
Well, right now you can serve ice cream on that iron.
Yeah. I don't know why they waited until now. I think it was probably because Taker was hurt during that time. But the way they're booking it now makes me really excited for this match. I mean, did you see the freaking brawl that happened last Monday?
Yeah, the Monday Night Raw battle. That was the spot of the night. They emptied the locker room.
Yeah. I'm gonna kill you. You're gonna have to. That was the line of the night.
When they finally got Brock Lesnar to calm down, you know who the voice of reason was?
R-Truth. R-Trizzle. It was our freaking truth. Yeah, I'm excited for this match. I really am. I don't know why they waited till now, but I'm excited for this. I want to see where this goes. Hopefully they put it in like Hell in a Cell or something, because that's the only appropriate way of doing something like that. I mean, just a regular match between those two, with the way it's being booked, it's just not enough. It's just not going to be enough.
Yeah, they're going to carry this on. They're probably going to have a rematch at WrestleMania 32.
That's
another one.
That's the legit rumor that we're hearing.
So this will be the fourth encounter now between Lesnar and Taker, because those that remember...
Yeah, because Lesnar and Taker had a program in 2002.
2003. The chain match, I think? The biker chain match, I think?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
They had a biker chain match at Unforgiven. That ended in a draw, didn't it?
No, it was Unforgiven 2002 originally, which ended in a no contest because they started brawling, which also ended with Lesnar going through the sign.
Yeah, then they had a Hell in a Cell match a month later with Lesnar won clean.
With Taker's hand broken, I might add.
Yeah, and then they had the match at 2014, and we all know how that went.
Yeah, we all know that went.
Yeah.
The hand from Oni just, I can just remember watching that episode of Oni just like going.
Damn, this is the thing that kind of worried about this match going to SummerSlam right now, because as we have known, their match at WrestleMania last year was not that very good, to be honest.
It didn't really help matters that Taker was not in the best state of fitness nor health. I mean, you look at Taker, the way he was, even just walking to the ring, he was so much skinnier than what we're normally accustomed to. And he was bright red in the face before the match even got going. I mean, you just looked at him, it's like, dude, should you really be getting in the ring for this match? You know, you look so pale, yet this year's WrestleMania, much more muscle back on him. And I've got nothing against Mohawks, but it doesn't look good on the Taker. I'm just glad when he came back, he'd grown his hair back, and he'd gone back with the biker Taker look, or at least the Phenom, hybrid version of it, because that looks just always suited him better. It's just sort of like a.
He always looked good in the singlet, in the wide brim hat.
Yeah.
Because as we all remember, he was originally called Kane the Undertaker.
Kane the Undertaker. Damn. Damn.
Okay, so anything else you want to talk about, Anton?
Okay? The big question. Okay, have you discussed what's been going on recently?
Oh, we already
Between,
talked about the elephant in the room. We already talked about Hogan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think
Alright,
anything else can be said about him at the moment, because really, it's kind of a work in progress story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. What's next for Kevin Owens? Where do you think he's
To be
going from here on
honest-
out?
We probably won't know until next week.
All right.
And,
All right, but
and-
in your perspective, where do you think he's going from now?
I think the best thing to do with him is to give him a short program with Cesaro.
Yeah, which is what they're setting up right now, as we saw on the recent SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
So you think that'll be a good match, right?
Oh,
I think
I think he'll steal the show. I think he'll steal
Exactly.
This will
Exactly.
be in the same vein as like Rock versus Austin, or even Angle versus Lesnar. I mean, two examples: SummerSlam 2003, WrestleMania 19. Those two stole the show. Except for when Lesnar decided to botch that shooting star press and landed on his head. Ooh.
Yeah, I nearly broke it.
It's a
You
miracle
broke
that
it, right?
Kurt Angle was able to carry him to the finish.
Oh, I mean, 12 years later, I'm still looking at that thinking, ah!
There were botches much more gruesome than that. Trust me, there were. Psycho Sid, everybody.
I don't want to remember that. I don't want to remember that.
Nobody does.
Oh, dear.
Okay, and
I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think
So glad I was able to caught up with you guys. This is like a mini Raw down rebound. Just a mini one.
So a mini down.
Wouldn't be the
Mini down,
same without
yes.
Oni. Wouldn't be the same without Oni.
No, that's
Yeah.
what you you guys. Same as you spit.
We need
Yeah.
the same without Rob.
All
We're
right.
just going on a rant on everybody. Alright.
That'll pretty much do it. So, from this live report of SmackView, thank you once again to my guest panelists in the JCK,
Adios.
the respectable and logical Co-92,
Thank you and good night, ladies and gentlemen.
and the late but amazing, the astonishing Double A.
Thank you for having me.
No
Even though I
problem.
was late, but thank you for having me.
No problem.
Always a
We're on
pleasure.
that wonderful little road again to SummerSlam, which won't be at the Staples Center this year. Thank the good Lord.
Woo!
Hooray.
New York, baby.
But until next time, folks, thank you for having us.